You go.
Good morning, Melanie.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Uh, we are back, and this time we have shifted to a book called The Great Cosmic Mother: Rediscovering the Religion of the Earth.
Mhm.
Um, this was recommended to me through Jessica Zweig, and it's it's pretty heady, as we like to say, in terms of going back to the beginning of our ancestry as women and females. And we're going to give it a go. So thanks for being with us. I'm going to go ahead and dive right in. And we'll do what we do and just kind of stop along the way if we need to look anything up or repeat anything. We're just going to take our time and not rush through it. Okay, so the first chapter is titled The First Sex. In the beginning, we were all created female. In the beginning was a very female sea. For 2.5 billion years on Earth, all life forms floated in the womb-like environment of the planetary ocean, nourished and protected by its fluid chemicals, rocked by the lunar tidal rhythms. Charles Darwin believed the menstrual cycle originated here, organically echoing the moon pulse of the sea. And because of this longest period of life's time on Earth was dominated by marine forms reproducing parthenogenetically, he concluded that the female principle was primordial. In the beginning, life did not gestate within the body of any creature, but within the ocean womb containing all organic life. There were no specialized sex organs, rather a generalized female existence reproduced itself within the female body of the sea. I love that because it's funny, like I grew up in a landlocked environment where the only access to water I had were mostly lakes and small lakes and man-made lakes even. And it's what's interesting is that where I grew up is about an hour and a half from Chicago, and now I live on this great big huge gigantic lake, Lake Michigan, that is not man-made and actually looks like and resembles an ocean. But I remember when I moved out to the East Coast right after high school, and I had access to the ocean for the first time. And I I didn't know why. I was like, I felt so called to the ocean and so called to the sea. And there's a calming effect that I didn't know existed up until that point.
Mhm.
And so I just loved how this opened with that because whether it's true or not, or actual or not, we it makes sense. I know Bob always used to say, like, the truth when you hear it because it resonates with the essence of who you are. And that's so how I felt about this.
It's beautiful. It's so nice. And even as I was saying last year, living in Manhattan, and yes, we had access to, a drive to the beach, but I grew up literally maybe about 15 minutes away from the ocean. And through the summer, do you remember I was telling you I felt such a pull, such a calling to be by the ocean, and
Yeah.
went for a
Yeah.
week to Spain, literally a week to Spain, right on the beach, and ended up spending 6 weeks there because of that pull, that feeling, and even now we're only a drive away from it as well. So it is
Yeah.
as you say, the truth resonates whether you want to accept it or not.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'll keep going. So
Yep.
before more complex life forms could develop and move onto land, it was necessary to miniaturize the oceanic environment. to reproduce it on a small and mobile scale. Soft, moist eggs deposited on dry ground and exposed to air would die. Life could not move beyond the water-hugging amphibian stage. In the course of evolution, the ocean, the protective and nourishing space, the amniotic fluids, even the lunar tidal rhythm, was transferred into the individual female body. And the penis, a mechanical device for land reproduction, evolved. The penis first appeared in the age of reptiles, about 200 million years ago. Our archetypal association of the snake with the phallus contains, no doubt, this genetic memory. This is a fundamental and reoccurring pattern in nature. Life is a female environment in which the male appears, often periodically, and created by the female to perform highly specialized tasks related to species reproduction and a more complex evolution. Daphnia, a freshwater crustacean, reproduces several generations of females by parthenogenesis. The egg and its own in its own polar body mate to form a complete set of genes for a female offspring. Once annually, at the end of the year's cycle, a short-lived male group is produced. The males specialize in manufacturing leathery egg cases able to survive the winter. Among honeybees, the drone group is produced, regulated by the sterile daughter workers and the fertile queen. Drones exist to mate with the queen. An average of 7 drones per hive accomplish this act each season, and then the entire male group is destroyed by the workers. Among whiptail lizards in the American Southwest, 4 species are parthenogenic. Males are unknown among the desert grassland, plateau, and Chihuahua whiptails, and have been found only rarely among the checkered whiptails. Among mammals, even among humans, parthenogenesis is not technically impossible. Every female egg contains a polar body with a complete set of chromosomes. The polar body and the egg, if united, could form a daughter embryo. In fact, ovarian cysts are unfertilized eggs that have joined with their polar bodies, been implanted in the ovarian wall, and started to develop there. So interesting, right?
So, so interesting. I'm sitting here kind of just going, what a way to start a book. This is just,
Yeah. So this is not to say the males are an unnecessary sex. Parthenogenesis is a cloning process, sexual reproduction, which enhances the variety and health of the gene pool, is necessary for the kind of complex evolution that has produced the human species. The point being made here is simply that when it comes to the two sexes, one of us has been around a lot longer than the other. So good. Why don't I just read until the end of this page? Or actually, do you want to take it away? Why don't you take it
yeah,
away?
I'll take it away and then sure we can maybe look it up as well.
Great.
So, in The Nature of Evolution of Female Sexuality, Mary Jane Sheffrey, MD, described her discovery in 1961 of something called an inductor theory. The inductor theory stated that all mammalian embryos, male and female, are automatically female during the early stages of fetal life. Jeffrey wondered why this theory had been buried in the medical literature since 1951, completely ignored by the profession. The men who made this her story making discovery simply didn't want it to be true. Jeffrey pioneered the discussion of the inductor theory, and now, with modifications based on further data, its findings are accepted as facts of mammalian, including human development. As Stephen J. Gould describes it, the embryo is the embryo in its first 8 weeks is an indifferent creature with bisexual potential. In the 8th week, the Y chromosome bearing sperm fuses with the egg. The gonads will develop into testes, which secrete androgen, which in turn induces male genitalia to develop. In the absence of, and how do you pronounce that?
Androgen.
Androgen, the embryo develops into a female. There's a difference in the development of the internal and the external genitalia. However, for the internal genitalia, the fallopian tubes and ovaries, or the sperm carrying ducts, the early embryo contains
Precursors.
precursors of both sexes, in the presence or absence of androgen. In one set develops, the other degenerates with the external genitalia. The different organs of male and female develop along diverging lines from the same precursor.
Mhm.
The one thing about this book is we are really
I know. I
we,
know. I'm like, I
we're
think that,
expanding.
and it's like if I don't know a word, I will look it up, but
Yeah.
so far it's yeah, I'm okay, but
Yeah, I'm
it's
getting I'm
that's
learning a
that's
lot.
the heady part. That's the heady part for me.
It's all good. So this means in effect that the clitoris and the penis are the same organ, formed from the same tissue. The labia majora and the scrotum are one, indistinguishable in the early embryonic stages, in the presence of androgen, and two lips simply grow longer, fold over and fuse along the midline, forming the sacral sac.
Scrotal sac.
Scrotal sac. Gould concludes the female course of development is, in a sense, biologically intrinsic to all mammals. It is a pattern that unfolds in absence of any hormonal imbalance or hormonal influence. The male route is a modification induced by secretion of androgens from the developing testes. The vulnerability of the male newcomer within the female environment is well known. Vaginal secretions are more destructive to the Y-bearing sperm. The mortality rate is higher among neo, neonate, neonate,
Which one?
neo,
Neonate.
yeah,
Neonate.
neonate, and infant males. Within the womb, the male fetus for the first 2 months is protected by being virtually indistinguishable from a female. After that, it must produce large amounts of the masculining innings,
Masculinizing.
masculinizing hormone in order to define itself as male, to achieve and to maintain its sexual identity. For all we know, the Near Eastern myths upon which our Western mythologies are built, those which portray the young god or hero battling against a female dragon, have some analogue here. In utero, where the male fetus wages a kind of chemical war against re-becoming female. For now,
How crazy is that? So wait, I want to go back. So at the
this is
top
just
I know at the top of that paragraph, it starts with the vulnerability of the male nuke. Now we're talking about in utero,
Mhm.
in the uterus of a woman, the chromosomes that are becoming a human being, the vulnerability of the male newcomer within the female environment is well known. It's like, and I guess I knew that, but I didn't really know that until I read this. And it says, this is what I love. Vaginal secretions are more destructive to the Y-bearing chromosome. The mortality rate is higher among neonate and infant males. Just meat. So like vaginal, like what we produce in our bodies is more destructive to a Y chromosome,
Mhm.
which is the male chromosome. And so it like has to, it's within the womb, the male fetus for the first 2 months is protected by being virtually, so it's like it has to protect itself from us, from
Mhm.
our normal. So like, I mean, this whole read is all about how, quite frankly, women, the female sex,
Mhm.
came first.
Yeah.
And it really it goes into the idea that the female sex were the first species to create, and not just in our wombs, but create life as we know it, and cultures and societies, and even referred to as god and goddesses.
Mhm.
And so that's why we're reading this, is for anyone listening, is because it's so fascinating to me. Like Melanie and I always want to go back to the beginning, like back to the original source of whatever it is that we're studying. Like when we did A Course in Miracles, we kept referencing it and hearing about it. And I think you didn't you walk into a bookstore, and it was like just appeared right there.
It
And so
We spoke
we
about it for a year. We spoke about it for almost a year before, and I had the book and I had it. I purchased it. I didn't realize I'd purchased it. We started speaking about it. I went to re-buy it and it just appeared in front of me and I was all,
Yeah, and it's so funny how I think we can do that as individuals, where we can talk about something for a really long time and have all the ideas to do it, but you actually have to take action. You have to take the action. It's so simple and it's so easy to do, and it's so easy not to do. And so that's how we got here with this read. So this is going to be a journey for sure. Do you want to finish? Do we want to maybe just get to the bottom of this page?
yeah, let's get to the bottom of this page and then
Okay.
let's see. The one thing about this for everyone here is that
Yep.
we never say that we know it all. We are learning, we are evolving, we are going through the journey. As you see, some words we don't understand, we will come back and
Yep.
forward. So follow along with us. Get yourself, order the book, sit down,
Yes.
read it, and even put on our podcast and join
Yep.
in. Really join
Yes.
in so you have an understanding as well. So let's get to the end of
Absolutely.
this page and do you want to finish off that chapter or sorry, that paragraph that you were reading there?
Yeah, sure.
The
So
vulnerability of the male newcomer within the female environment.
yep. So vaginal secretions are more destructive to the wise-bearing sperm. The mortality rate is higher among neonate and infant males. Within the womb, the male fetus, for the first 2 months, is protected by being virtually indistinguishable from a female. After that, it must produce large amounts of the masculinizing hormone in order to define itself as male, to achieve and to maintain its sexual identity. For all we know, the Near Eastern myths upon which our Western mythologies are built, those which portray the young god or hero battling against a female dragon, have some analog here. In utero, where the male fetus wages a kind of chemical war against re-becoming female. For now, it is enough to say that maleness among mammals is not a primary state, but differentiates from the original female biochemistry and anatomy. The original libido of warm-blooded animals is female, and the male or maleness is a derivation from this primary female pattern. Why then did the medical men, the scientists, take longer to figure out this basic biological fact than it took them to split the atom? And why, once this fact was noted, did they turn around and bury it in a professional silence for 10 years until a woman dug it up again? Why indeed?
Why indeed?
Mhm.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Just
So,
one more long paragraph here. So, for about 2,000 years of Western history, female sexuality was denied. When it could not be denied, it was condemned as evil. The female was seen as divinely designed to be a passive vessel serving reproductive purposes only. In one not too ancient dictionary, clitoris was defined as a rudimentary organ, in quotes, while masculinity equaled the cosmic generative force. Oh my God.
oh, this is going to be fun.
With Freud, female sexuality was not so much rediscovered as pathologized. Freud dismissed the clitoris as an undeveloped masculine organ and defined original libido as male. Clitoral eroticism was reduced to a perverse neuroses. Even with Masters and Johnson's laboratory studies were published. So even after Masters and Johnson, there was a show on HBO years ago. Did you ever see it?
No.
It was called, so the title of the TV show is a series called Masters of Sex.
Uh-huh.
And it was about these two scientists or psychologists, Masters and Johnson. So when it references this, I was like, oh, yeah, that's what this show is about. You have to go back and watch. It was a really well done show. Um, so it says, even after Masters and Johnson's laboratory studies were published in Human Sexual Response in 1966, their findings were not integrated into psychoanalytical theory. In Mary Jane Schreffy's research during that period, she found not one work of comparative anatomy that described or even mentioned the deeper lying clitoral structures. Yet every other structure of the human body was described in living detail. Even today, with our relative sophistication of 1987, which is when this book was written, we are frequently whistled at by magazine headlines that promise breathless articles announcing the discovery of a new spot, a G spot, an X spot, located within the vagina. Within all these new spots exists the old wistful desire to deny the existence of the clitoris as a trigger organ of the female orgasm. Why? There is the generalization, traditional fear of female sexuality. I'm going to end right there
Yeah.
because that is like why we're doing this work.
Oh my goodness.
'Cause like it goes back to the or like our origin story.
Hmm.
And so come along the ride with us.
It is
It's
going to be a
going to
fun.
be a spicy one.
And you know what? It's something I think that we all need. I definitely, because rewind back to my upbringing,
Yep.
it's something, the words that I wouldn't even have been able to say
Right.
because a wonderful Irish Catholic female you are put in your place, whereas now we're here to really uncover it all, and yeah, as
Yep,
Hayley said, it's going to be a good one.
gonna be a good one. Thanks, everyone.